as we are. Pat Purcell walking down there thinking, oh, what's the boss doing?
Well, Edmondson lined up on the grid position, number 2.
Well, Pat's rushing now to pick up, he's got a can with something in it. I see he's trying to start the engine there. Looks like he's spraying it down the injector trumpets. And Bob's firing it up at this stage, or trying to.
Oh, and Jimmy Richards in the Pie-sponsored car decides he's going for broke. He jumps the start, so that's going to be I think if it's a minute for a normal offence, that'll be 2 of the best. So Jim Richards obviously wants to get his sponsor's Pie up on front on the telly, and he's done a good job of it. He's jumped the start, and he leads Tony Edmondson as they come down General Credit's back straight. Gary Rogers is in there, and look at John Briggs really coming on strong in the Black Mons.
In the meantime, Bob Jane, car number 7, who had pole position, is still in the pits, and Bob is getting out of the car at the moment, and I would reckon would be a pretty disappointed boy.
Yes, he's putting his cap back on. He's going to watch to see how the rest of the boys do. So
okay, we've had one off over on the
Mercedes.
Yes, that's Brad Jones in the Mercedes. It's come off the circuit, and it has in fact inverted the machine. Picked them up going down towards Valvoline. And I think it's Tony Edmondson who has taken over the lead. Even if Jimmy had stayed out there.
Jim Richards is retiring off the end of the circuit. He's pulling slowly to the left-hand side, just out of camera shot.
Well, that's a sensation. Another one.
Corner, yes. Now, perhaps, no, he couldn't have been involved with Brad Jones. He was too far ahead of him, so I'd say they're unrelated incidents.
I think Jim Richards was having problems with the motor yesterday and was not terribly confident about the fact of finishing today, which may have had something to do with the jumping at the start and getting the sponsor's name up front.
Certainly stole the limelight at the start of the race, but Jim Richards in a good deal of bother, but our leader is Tony Edmondson.
So it's fairly academic that they do disqualify or penalise Jim Richards, because he penalised himself at least that amount. He's slowly coming back to the pits.
Okay, Tony Edmondson leads, coming along General Credit's back straight. Great dice for second, though. John Briggs in the Black Monza, and Gary Rogers in that pretty nifty Tirana right in behind him.
And in 4th position would be car number 8, the McCormick Unipart team of John McCormick. And looking next would be Tony Parkinson, and coming up behind him would be car number 16, Peter Fitch.
Okay, out of Glow Weave, heading on to front straight. Tony Edmondson really running away from them. Boy, doesn't that little machine move.
Jim Richards in car number 15 now coming into the pits to join Bob Jane there, and we believe he was penalised 1 minute, but as you mentioned, Peter, that's an academic interest only at the moment.
Yes. One car I'd like to talk about on the track there is Gary Rogers' car, a very conventional car compared to the other ones.
Car number 34.
34, yes. He's right behind John Briggs, giving him a terrific run for his money. Now, Briggs' car is a pretty lightweight car with fully independent suspension, and the car that Gary Rogers has is a very conventional, old-fashioned style sports sedan with a live rear axle like that of a conventional Falcon or Holden, and it does remarkably well. As you can see in this shot here, he's really behind Briggs. He's lacking the speed down the straight, but by gee, he's making up with, you know, a lot of aggression in the corners.
Coming into Valvoline, you can see how Gary Rogers closes up. 34 is Rogers. Just in front of him is John Briggs. We've had one search of the Arco on the around the circuit. It's difficult to pick up. Looking for the old rally course. It's not there anymore.
Yes, that's a Tirana base car, I believe, which Tony Hubbard's car, I believe.
Back to the dice for second place between John Briggs in the Chevrolet Monza, Gary Rogers in the Tirana, and then you can see Tony Edmondson just ahead of them, really stretching it. Can't help but think what a great power to weight ratio that machine of Edmondson's.
Absolutely superbly put together. When you compare it to the Pacific cars, it doesn't really leave much out.
Right, 5 laps gone of the 25 lap Sports Sedan Challenge. Here's Evan Green.
Jim Richards sitting on the pit wall. What happened, Jim?
Well, amazing enough, it jammed in second gear through the S's, and I couldn't get it out of second gear, so I had to just come around and come into the pits.
And you're out of the race?
Yes.
Bob Jane is up there. He too was out of the race before it started, had engine trouble. It shows you how much people get involved. His mechanics were in tears. They were so upset, and Bob was trying to comfort them. There's a lot riding on this, isn't there?
Well, they work with them so long and hard for so long, especially in Bob's case. He doesn't race that often, and with them going so well in practice, I suppose they're expecting a win, so it would be very disappointing.
Okay, back to you, Mike Raymond.
Thank you, Evan. We come back to the race where we pick up on Tony Edmondson, still leading from John Briggs in the Monza. Gary Rogers is third.
Fourth position is car number 8, that's John McCormack. In fifth position is car number 12, that's Tony Parkinson. And in position number 6, car number 16, Peter Finch in the yellow Holden Monaro.
Through Glowweave. Car number 1 is our race leader.
Yeah, Edmondson isn't hanging about either. I just clocked him at a 42.2 on my wristwatch that particular lap, and that's within 4/10 of his qualifying time, so he's certainly giving the boys behind something to work for.
Okay, we had one out amongst the tulips on the back straight, managing to park it over there. One that was in a
Tony Parkinson and his Commodore.
And he was running in the top 5.
He was in 6th position, actually, Mike.
In 6th, I was one out. The track record, or the sports sedan record, held here by, of course, Bob Jane, 41.8. Tony Edmondson qualified yesterday at exactly that, 41.8. So we'll see as this race progresses whether we can put one together.
Went out in the warm-up lap, the car was fine, and in the second warm-up lap, it cut out down the back straight, just wouldn't run. So after the car's run perfectly for, 3 days, it's quite amazing, absolutely amazing.
It must be a shattering blow. Your mechanic was in tears. You must have a lot of loyalty in that team.
Well, Pat, for me, I've been working pretty hard today, but Pat's been working for about a month or more on the car, and he's put every night and every day into it, and it was running so beautifully. So it's very frustrating for him as well as me.
Gary Rogers, in the meantime, is back out on the track and is back once again to central commentary position.
Okay, thanks, Evan. And Bob Jane, obviously very disappointed, but more so his top mechanic, Pat Purcell, as he said. Spent night and day on the car. It looks a treat, but unfortunately it didn't get going today, and still our race leader, Tony Edmondson, and doing it well. He's leading at the moment. In 2nd place is car number 9, John Briggs. 3rd place is car number 8, John McCormack now in 3rd position. In 4th position, car 12, Tony Parkinson. Position number 5, car 16, Peter Finch.
Tony Edmondson, and once again, number 6 in problems, John Chambers.
And a little bit of a fire under there.
Afterburner.
Yes, maybe the grass could be in danger of going up out there. It's a bit long.
The best thing to do in that situation is keep winding on that starter motor and hope she starts, because it's raw fuel, of course, coming out the exhaust. And
I think
it looks bad.
I think he's called it a day, has he? No, he's going for another push. Really had some problems for John Chambers and the Chevy Monza. Actually, it's quite surprising that John Briggs has made it today, because he went off in practice yesterday against the guardrail on the back straight. Replay coming up of the incident, and there you can see Chambers getting it around sideways and backing it off the course. So not really a problem, and then you got an idea then of the speed of Tony Edmondson.